it's easy to hire on the skill set, but I really think focusing on hiring the right people and realizing that they might not have that total skill set package, and it might be more work for us as a company. But I think if we hire the right people, that are willing to get there and we can trust are going to do the right thing for us, that at the end of the day, that'll make life much easier.
This is From Paint to Purpose, a podcast by FCP Services, where we believe people drive growth, exploring topics related to company culture, leadership, and construction industry insights. Now your host.
Welcome everybody. Today we have Blake Jablonski. He is our project manager for the construction segment. Hi Blake, how are you?
Good. Doing
good,
well.
Good. Awesome. So we start usually with, tell us a little about yourself and how you ended up becoming a project manager.
Yeah. So on a professional level, I've been involved in some sort of construction, I guess, since I was a teenager. Whether it was landscaping or earthwork or heavy civil. I was lucky to have some great mentors, whether it was my dad or small business owners that I worked for in the industry, and then leaders in the construction industry. But yeah, I went to school for construction management after kind of being involved in it, and then worked through college in the industry, and out of school worked for a heavy civil contractor for about 5 years, and then eventually worked my way to FCP Services 10 years ago now almost. So yeah, that's me. And then on a personal level, my wife and I have two young girls at home, Lenny and Burke, and enjoy anything outdoors and golf and all the normal Minnesota things anyway.
So why did you decide, I know you said, through your dad and stuff, where you kind of fell into construction. Was it your first choice or was it just because you fell into it?
Yeah, no, my dad actually wasn't really involved in construction, just business. But yeah, just growing up, that was kind of what I did as a teenager through high school, working, and it was just kind of what I knew, and I loved it, So I think as long as you have a general interest and passion for what you're doing, that's important. So looking back, I'm glad I've gone this route. I don't know what else I'd be doing, but I think just liking what you do is important. So
how has your role changed from the beginning of you working at FCP to what it is now?
Yeah, a lot. A lot. So like I said, almost 10 years ago now, and at the time I came on, it was a pretty small team, James and Robert, and a couple others in the office here. Really came on, I had been a project manager in a different industry before coming here, and came on really to just help support the workload that Robert had going at the time. And then really over the last 10 years, I've evolved into, a lot of different scopes or areas of work within the industry. The company's evolved. We've grown like crazy. And then now, just leading our construction segment. So we got a team of people we're continuing to build on the construction side. We still have our national paint side doing huge things in the Minnesota segment. So yeah, it's definitely a different company from when I came here, but a lot of the same people that were here when I started are still here. And, the people are what make it what it is. So that's good.
How have you seen the culture change with the people here? I know we have people that have been here 9 years, and then people that have been here to a 1 year and in between. How have you seen the culture change?
I actually don't think it's probably changed a lot. I think we're more vocal with what it is now. We put it on the wall, and people can see what it is. But I mean, when I came, Chip and James and Robert, I mean, they were living all the things that we live now. I mean, that's what's built the company, is what they were willing to do for people and putting everybody else before them. I think the culture is really similar to what it was then. We're more vocal about it. We hire based on what we believe in, the culture we want to maintain. So that's important as we grow. And then, of course, over the years, people that don't fit with what we're doing leave eventually. So that's all a good natural progression. And yeah.
How do you relate to FCP's mission?
I guess I relate in the sense that I believe it. So that's
Right.
to me, that's the most important part. So, building a great company with great people and unlimited opportunity, as a personal mission, you probably have a lot of people have a similar mission for themselves. And then on a company level, I think if you believe it and you live it and you trust that everybody else here is living it, that's what's important. So
Has there been a time where the culture wasn't what you thought the culture was, or there was a shift where you were like, what's going on here?
I mean, I'd say there's times where we've had people on board that probably aren't living, our values or kind of the culture that we're trying to maintain. So I wouldn't say as a company we've ever made a decision or an effort to sway from what we're doing. But, as people come on and you realize maybe they aren't who we want them to be or who we need them to be to maintain what we're doing, then there's probably a brief hiccup in how that goes. But, we've, like I said, naturally those things kind of work themselves out and people come and go. And I think at the end of the day, we're always going to end up with the right people as long as we maintain what we're doing.
How do you choose your teams to make sure you have the right people?
Yeah. So, I'm not sure. No. I mean, I think we talk about it all the time, but I think really you have to hire on skill set to some extent. But I think just hiring for people, who they are is the most important part. So 10 years ago, I wouldn't have bought into that because it took more effort, to grow people, take a good person and grow them into a great person with a massive skill set rather than take somebody with all those skills and deal with some people issues. Seems easier at the time, right? But, since then, I guess my view on it has changed drastically. And as a company, we've changed drastically. I mean, we've invested endlessly in the people side. And it's just, I feel like it's had such a big impact on who we have here and how we're able to serve the people that we work for. Yeah. You
being a project manager and leading your own team, what is your leadership style?
I guess maybe a combination of a visionary style and a servant style. So I think for me, I think if we have good people and we can lay out where we want to go, the people that we want to hire are people that enjoy taking an end goal and figuring out how to get there. So I think those two styles kind of embody to me what is to me a good way to lead, I guess, the type of people that I like to have around anyway. But.
So changing subjects from people to projects. Tell me about what your role consists of. I know project manager is very broad and you do more construction, but tell me more about what that role is.
Yeah. So project manager, coach, visionary. I guess you have to be able to visualize workflow. But I think the people side of project management is probably one that's overlooked. So I think by definition, if you looked at project management, you'd say, you take a project, figure out how to win it, and figure out how to execute it and close it out. But I think the relationship side of project management is one that's probably overlooked, and the people that are in it probably realize how important it really is, whether it's internally or with our clients. That's a big deal. So it makes projects go smoothly. It improves communication, and at the end of the day, it brings more work back to us. But
So, what does a day-to-day look like for you?
Yeah, so I guess for me right now, kind of splitting roles with leading the construction team and then still running projects on a project level. So I guess there's a lot of different things going on, but I would just say from a project management aspect, um, in simple terms, it's just continuous communication. So like I said, I mean, there's nothing that can replace just good relationships with your project team, with the owners, and just being open and honest and clear with everything that's going on. So I think there's obviously a lot of in between tasks and nuts and bolts to the work that have to be gone through and get done day to day. But I think at the end of the day, if you're focusing your efforts on making sure everybody's in the loop on what's happening, communication's clear, the end goal's clear, that's where a lot of your effort has to be focused day to day.
So does that effort continue obviously from the start of the project to the end, or do you at what point do you have your team sort of take over?
Yeah, it depends on the project, I guess. So, some projects we're involved in the design phase or helping scope projects for owners pre-bid. Other projects we're coming into a hard bid, and other projects we're negotiating, with an existing relationship, and then going into the pre-construction phase from there. So, yeah, I don't know. Probably, just to answer your question, probably just varies on project. If we're going to handle it as a team of people, if we're going to assign it to one individual person to run it, or how that goes. But
what are some projects that that we're working on right now?
Yeah, so right now, within construction, we kind of have two different buckets. So we have our national construction, or GC group, where, we're doing anything from building envelope restorations. You had went and looked at we did a big stone facade project for one of our really good big box store clients, doing hotel interior renovations. We're getting all set up to start on some big box additions and build outs. So that's good. And then kind of the other side of our construction segment is the break fix side. So we do reactive facilities management or repair work for multi-site clients all throughout the U.S. So Jeff and Jessica lead that team for us. And, any given day, we probably have 200 plus work orders open on average, and just figuring out how to have the right people in the right places and execute that type of work. So all kinds of stuff going on that side. But
what does that work orders consist of? Can you give us some examples?
Most of the facility stuff is like I said, it's reactive repairs, and a lot of it's building envelope related, but not necessarily. So it might be where a car ran into a building, we need to go get it buttoned up and taken care of, or they got graffiti on the building, we'll go get it touched up and repaint over it or cover it up. And for a lot of the big box stores, we do flooring work, so tile breaks up or they have a trip hazard or things like that. So a lot of it's somewhat kind of smaller scope stuff, and then a lot of it can turn into, it might have started as a leak, or they think they have a little water leak or something somewhere, and it might turn into a massive water intrusion project. So yeah, never know. But.
You were saying that a water leak sometimes can be bigger. What are ways that we can help facilities managers prevent stuff like that?
Yeah, so that's the lifelong struggle with clients, of course. So we have some that are really good at understanding what it means to keep up their assets and try to be ahead of things and put the money in to keep tabs on kind of where things are. And then there's others, of course, that are just totally reactive in what they do. And once it's a problem, then they'll spend money. And for the most part, that works out to the negative fiscally anyway. But yeah, I mean, there's different things we can do. We have our sister company IDS, who we provide immersion data services for different multi-site clients nationwide. So there's things we can do with them to help them keep tabs on what their assets look like. And then just as we service different properties for different clients, trying to be proactive and pointing out things that might get away from them in the near future or should be looked at before they become an issue like that.
What are some of the projects that you've enjoyed doing?
I'd say just any project that's relationship based tends to be more enjoyable. So, we have a bucket of really good clients that we've done work for a long time. And when you can kind of get to a spot where, we understand between us as the contractor and them as the client, we're both benefiting from what's happening and we both need each other. Typically, those are just much more enjoyable projects. So if we can be on the same team, that's great. There's other projects where it's just purely transactional and it might be a low bid for a public entity or it might be just purely transactional from a hard bid standpoint. And those can be good too. But for the most part, those are the projects where it's, it's not to say that you're not trying to get to the same place, but they're usually not as fun as when you can do it with somebody where you're on the same page anyway.
So you like the challenge?
Yeah, I mean, any time you can finish something up that was, at some point in the project seemed to be a disaster for a day or two or whatever it was, and you can work with the client and ownership to work through it and figure out a solution. Those are always the most satisfying when you're done anyway. So,
how do you prepare for the commencement of a new project? What steps do you take? Mentally and I guess physically.
Yeah. So I mean, number one, I think just being able to visualize kind of like I was saying, the workflow. So that's probably one of the most important things. And if you can't, just having trust, you have to trust in your subcontractors and your project team that they can, they have the expertise to get you through it. So, I think just having a good understanding of how that workflow has to happen. And then to me, just having an ultimate understanding of the project is the most important thing for a project manager. So to me, you have to know that project better than anybody. You have to know better than the architect, better than the owner, better than your subcontractors. And, with that comes the horsepower to work efficiently and with speed and be able to be the kind of the sounding board for everybody else involved. So to me, that's the most important part in preparation, is just having total understanding of what we're doing.
What do you think makes a good project manager? What skills do you think make someone stand out?
Yeah, I think on that preparation side, like we were just talking about, just having the attention to detail and the willingness to get into things to that extent further than probably anybody else involved. And then just being able to, like I said, visualize and plan. But the plan is great. We always try to execute to the plan. But I guess being somebody that can adapt when you finally get the proverbial punch to the mouth is important. So being able to understand that as a project manager, you certainly have a role or a defined role, but when things change, the end goal stays the same. So what we have to do to adapt to get there, that's an important skill, to be able to think on your feet or think on the fly and adapt to what has to happen.
How do you motivate your team when a project isn't going as planned?
Yeah, so I mean, I think having good people, a lot of people find that enjoyment in getting through those challenges. So there's certainly days where it's not enjoyable for anybody, that just happens. And it's great when things are going well and the motivation is high and things are rolling. And then when it's not, I think just having the discipline to know that there's still an end goal and we got to do what we got to do to get to that end goal. And then knowing that when we do get there, like you say, it'll probably be one of the more satisfying things that you've been through. Just probably not for that stretch of time. So.
But looking back, you realize that you learned stuff.
Right. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
You realize how adaptable and flexible you are when I didn't.
Yep.
I was going to say something, but it was inappropriate for our audience. All right. So, let's see. What advice can you give someone who is trying to have a career similar to yours?
I think just make sure you understand what it is and that you enjoy it. So, whether that's through finding people that are doing it now, or maybe you've already been involved in it and you know that. But I think just really understanding what that's probably with any career, just really understanding what it is and making sure that that's something you want to pursue is probably number one. And then number two, maybe just finding, I'd say finding mentors, people that are doing it, that have been successful at it. You know, if you're young or in school, finding an internship, or if not, just being able to job shadow somebody and getting a feel for what it really is. And then just figuring out how you can learn from those people that have been there and done it well. And maybe more importantly, the people that have done it well and treat people the way that you would want to treat your people eventually down the road. So I think there's probably a lot of people that have been successful from a monetary standpoint in the industry, but if you can find somebody that's done it well and been able to grow people and everybody still respects them at the end of the day, even after they've done well, I think if you can learn from those people, I think that's the most important part. But
what are some of the challenges that you run into as a project manager that everybody runs into?
Yeah, probably. People is just a challenge no matter what in any business. I suppose that's always your number one challenge, but maybe on a project specific basis, customer expectations or, in some cases lacking knowledge, which is fun actually when you can help somebody understand, what they have going or what they need or things we can help them with. But I would say just, with certain people, unreasonable expectations or not really having an understanding of what their assets are or what they need or whatever can be a challenge to work through a little bit, but it's all fun.
And I'm assuming you learn as you go, and then you don't make the mistake again once you already learned it, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you do to stay informed of industry trends?
It used to be you just read all the publications, right? ENR or LEAD or AGC or things like that. But now I think if you just follow all your coworkers on LinkedIn or Instagram right. or your counterparts elsewhere or whatever, it seems like it's kind of an unlimited flow of information, blogs and podcasts and video clips and everything. So yeah, right. It's pretty easy now.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. What advice can you give an organization that is trying to find a project manager for their team?
Yeah, good luck. No, I'm just kidding. It's it probably seems a difficult current state. I mean, it is. It's definitely not as easy as it's been in other times. But like we were talking about earlier, I think just it's easy to hire on the skill set, but I really think focusing on hiring the right people and realizing that they might not have that total skill set package, and it might be more work for us as a company. But I think if we hire the right people, that are willing to get there and we can trust are going to do the right thing for us, that at the end of the day, that'll make life much easier. So,
yep.
Yeah.
I agree. Definitely. So, is there anything else that you would like to talk about that we didn't discuss?
No, thanks for having me on.
Do you have any questions for me?
No.
No. Okay, so how can our audience connect with you? I know you have a LinkedIn page, and we will definitely tag you on it. But what other ways can we connect with you?
Yeah, LinkedIn's probably
LinkedIn?
easiest. So, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Well, Blake, thank you for being here with us. We really appreciate you taking the time and giving us a little bit of your knowledge as a project manager. And I'm looking forward to new projects and more footage.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. To learn more, visit fcpservices.com. Until next time, remember, people drive growth.